Hello from the University of Georgia. My name is Stephanie Bolton and I am a PhD student in the Department of Plant Pathology focusing on a PhD in wine. Thank you so much to the North Alabama chapter of the American Wine Society and to the American Wine Society Education Foundation for honoring me with my second American Wine Society scholarship. As an undergraduate at Wake Forest University, I earned a degree in chemistry and wasn't sure how to use that in the real world until I stepped foot into my first vineyard. After that, I knew that all I wanted to do was a career in wine. My wine research focuses on Southeastern American red vinifera wines and wine grapes and potentially mycotoxigenic fungal communities. This year, I will be using the Coravin system to extract wine from 200 bottles that I've carefully selected from the Southeast to analyze that wine for fungal secondary metabolites. I will also be determining the species of over 300 fungal isolates that I collected during the 2013 harvest. My true passion is in wine education, and for the past 5 years I've spent 1 month every year in Cortona, a small Etruscan town in Tuscany, teaching American university students about wine. So I led afternoon wine sensory sessions where we tasted through 4 wines and just had a wonderful time touring vineyards and wineries and learning all of the practical knowledge needed to be confident in the world of wine. That's why I love the American Wine Society, because we combine education with wine tastings and just creates a lovely culture for a good life.
My name is Allison Baker and I'm from Mercer Island, Washington. Currently, I'm a doctoral candidate at Washington State University, on the other side of the state. I'm passionate about the wine industry because whether it's at a fancy meal or just some afternoon, wine brings people together. The chance to understand what contributes to the sensory profile of a wine from a scientific point of view and how that relates to wine quality amazes me. My research focuses on the sensory science of wine. Specifically, I'm interested in the wine finish. That's the lingering tastes or flavors that remain after you swallow or expectorate a sample of wine. Previous work has indicated that the wine matrix, components in the wine such as ethanol, tannin, sugar, etc., influence the flavor, aroma, and flavor finish of wine. My research has involved adjusting Syrah wine to varying ethanol and tannin concentrations. These wines were then used to conduct a sensory panel in which individuals were trained to detect and identify certain flavors in the finish. After swishing the wine around in their mouths and expectorating, panelists indicated continuously, over time, the intensity of the flavors in the finish. Results indicated that both tannin and ethanol levels influenced the finish parameters, the intensity and the duration of the finish. Next, we ran a consumer panel in an attempt to discover the link between perceived finish duration and finish acceptance. We found that not only did ethanol extend the duration of finish for all flavors investigated, but the consumers also preferred the longer finishes in those high ethanol samples. In light of this, we thought, instead of altering the wine matrix after the fact, let's make wine using different processing techniques so as to create wine treatments naturally varying in ethanol and tannin concentrations. To do this, we harvested 1.5 tons of Syrah grapes. With the must, the juice, skins, and seeds that remain after crushing, we create experimental wines. This was done by bleeding off juice from the must and then adding back water or sugar water to create differing levels of sugar in each treatment. This would create wines of varying ethanol content and tannin content. This is where it all happens. I am sincerely grateful for the financial assistance that the American Wine Society has provided to aid in my efforts to further this research. I hope that one day I can find a niche in the industry which will allow me to give back and help future students along the way.
Hi, my name is Alex Fredrickson, and I'm a master's student in enology at Cornell University, working under Anna Catherine Mansfield. My passion for the wine industry started when I was young. as I grew up in the Columbia Valley of Washington State around grapes and wine. I received my bachelor's degree from the University of Idaho at Washington State University, where I took a wine microbiology class and became excited about the wine industry with wine microbiology, and I got to make wine for the first time. Upon graduation, I took a winemaking internship position at Gallo-Sonoma's winemaking facility in Healdsburg, California. At this winery, I got to act as a winemaker in training and got to work with all facets of the wine industry and winemaking processes. I continued my passion after this internship by taking a harvest position at Church Road Winery in Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, as a cellar hand, and got to work with all facets of the winemaking process and learned a ton. Now, as a master's student at Cornell University, I'm increasing my enology and viticulture knowledge and hopefully setting me up for a successful career in the wine industry. For this fall, I will be working with the interaction of malolactic bacteria and exogenous tannins in hybrid red wines. The idea is to observe the malolactic fermentation by doing the bacterial enumeration to determine if exogenous tannins are beneficial or inhibitory to the malolactic fermentation. Lastly, I wanted to thank the American Wine Society Educational Foundation for their support, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Allison Reef, and I'm a PhD student at Oregon State University. The quest for knowledge by the Oregon wine industry definitely drives my passion for my work. I know that the work I do is going to have a direct impact on them as they value research and use it every day. The Oregon wine industry also openly communicates about problems they are facing, so together they can collectively work to solve those problems based on past experiences and knowledge. I have not seen communication and collaboration like this in many other industries. The wine industry as a whole, I believe, was one of the first industries that realized that quality ingredients going into a product really made the final product a lot better. They realized that high quality grapes therefore made high quality wine. So studying the relationship between farming practices and high quality grapes really gave them an advantage. It is exciting to be a part of an industry that knew this from the beginning, and I've already made leaps and bounds into achieving this goal. Another great aspect of the wine industry is that it can stimulate agricultural communities. As the wine industry moves into localities that are traditionally not planted to wine grapes, it has been seen that the economy has been boosted. Being located in a cool climate, there are unique challenges that viticulturists face. One of these problems in Oregon is the low yielding of the vines. Being planted to mostly Pinot Noir, this is further exacerbated as Pinot Noir is a low yielding cultivar. The Oregon wine industry spends a lot of money trying to achieve very targeted yields, which in some years they can reach and some years they can't, based on the yield variation. We don't know what's driving this yield variation, and so my research is going to look at trying to figure out the relationships between vine physiology and weather and the fruit. One of the reasons why I think we have such high yield variation from year to year is that being in a cool climate, we run up against the end of the growing season, which means we have a variable amount of time from the time we harvest our grapes to the times the leaves fall. In years when we have a long period between the time of harvest and leaf fall, we accumulate a lot of carbohydrates that are then given to the vine to produce more fruit the next year. In years where we're harvesting in the rain and the leaves are falling off, we don't have that carbohydrate accumulation, and I think that leads to lower yields the following year. Our goal is to better understand fruit production so we can provide growers with better tools to manage yield to ensure quality. As an AWS scholarship winner, I'd like to thank the Columbus, Ohio chapter for their generosity.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Springer, and I'm a PhD candidate at Cornell University, working with Dr. Gavin Sachs. I think it's really easy to be passionate about wine because it's something that's been around since the better part of human recorded history, and it's still here today for some really good reasons. It continues to intrigue us with its mysteries. It continues to inspire us. It continues to bring us all together, almost like a cultural glue. It's amazing to be here in the Finger Lakes region of New York State and witness people coming from all over the world to experience wine right here. And I personally like to think of wine as an experience. It just keeps it interesting. As an enology researcher, wine is such a cool thing to study because it's always changing and it's so dynamic. There's so much that we have to learn from it. And as we continue to advance our scientific technology and our abilities to solve problems in new ways, I think the frontiers of wine research are really exciting. Over the next academic year, I'll be continuing work on a project that investigates factors that limits the extraction of condensed tannins from grapes into wines during the course of red wine fermentation. And I'll be focusing on the interspecific hybrid red cultivars that we grow here in the cool climate growing region of New York State. And through this research, we've already seen significant differences in the ways that tannins interact with cell wall materials from different cultivars that we grow here, including those of Vitis vinifera, like Cabernet Sauvignon or Merlot, and also interspecific hybrid varieties such as Baco Noir or Maréchal Foch. However, our recent research has shown that wine-soluble pathogenesis-related proteins, such as chitinases and thalamin-like proteins, can severely limit the amount of tannin that ends up into red wine, especially from our region. So over the course of the next academic year, this is what I'll be studying, is the influence of proteins on red wine condensed tannin quantities. And with that, I would really like to thank AWS for their support. It really means a lot to myself and all the other graduate students that are out there working hard on this research. So thank you very much, and I truly appreciate your support.
Hi, my name is Zachary Cartwright, and I'm a graduate student in the Food Science program at Washington State University. Originally, I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico, the home of grain chili, balloon fiestas, and of course, Walter White. Here, my brother Lucas and I were adopted by Michael and Diana Cartwright. My parents have always encouraged me to take advantage of education, so after graduating high school, I attended New Mexico State University. After several major changes, I finally chose biochemistry as my area of study. During my junior year, my friend Maggie introduced me to the idea of enology. This inspired me to read a book on the subject and then look for volunteer opportunities in the area. Gordon Steele, the owner of Rio Grande Winery, took me under his wing. It was at this winery that I learned about the balance between science and art as it relates to winemaking. It was here that my passion for the wine industry was born. Gordon was a graduate of a certificate program at Washington State University, and he encouraged me to look for graduate school opportunities. I found what I was looking for in the lab of Dr. Charles Edwards at Washington State University. The focus of his lab is on problem alcoholic fermentations and spoilage microorganisms of concern to winemakers. My research follows this trend and is focused on the spoilage yeast Brettanomyces bruxellensis, or simply Brett. Brett is often quoted as the #1 spoilage microorganism in red wines. Once a Brett infection has occurred, aromas described as horse sweat, band-aids, and rancidity can take over the wine bouquet. It is also exceedingly difficult to remove this yeast once it's entered the winery. Therefore, understanding how this microbe persists in both the winery and the vineyard is crucial to our wine industry. To address this problem, during the upcoming school year, I will be monitoring Brett culturability in winery waste products, including grape pumice. Pumice is often used in industry as a vineyard fertilizer, so I'll be tracking Brett survival throughout the year in several Washington State vineyards. This may give better insight into Brett's occurrence in the vineyard, a topic that has been controversial in the past. Furthermore, I am also planning a study to observe different oak sanitation techniques against Brett in oak barrels. Although there are previous studies on the subject, they fail to address the impacts of different types of oak on the depths at which Brett can be found. Therefore, I will be using both American and French oak barrels at different levels of toasting. Beyond my research, I also plan on continuing my wine education in the classroom. I've already completed wine sensory, microbiology, and processing classes, but I plan to take courses on wine biochemistry, viticulture, and also wine business. Continuing my research and education at WSU is made possible in part by a scholarship from the American Wine Society Educational Foundation. At this time, I'd like to thank the AWSEF for their continued support and for giving me an opportunity to excel. If you have any questions about this video or about the program at WSU, please feel free to contact me. Thanks for taking your time to watch this video. Cheers.
Hi, my name is Megan Hall, and I'm a second-year PhD student in the Plant Pathology Department at Cornell University, working with Wayne Wilcox. I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, but I'm enjoying the challenges of cool climate viticulture here in Geneva, New York. I work on a disease called sour rot, which many of you may know what it is. It starts at about 15 bricks, just a few weeks before harvest, and the grapes start to soften, turn brown, and also you can smell vinegar starting to emanate from the vineyard. We've worked really hard to figure out what this is, and over the last year of my research, we think we may understand a little bit more about it. First, we believe that yeast is starting to ferment the inside of the grape, producing ethanol, and the bacteria then turns that ethanol into acetic acid. You can imagine the challenges for wine grape growers and winemakers alike. Who can make good wine out of vinegar? No one. So that's my job, to figure out what exactly sour rot is and how we can treat it, to help growers and winemakers alike. I have worked in all different facets of the wine industry. I started off on the sorting line, I worked as a viticulture intern for a large commercial grower, and I worked as an assistant viticulturist for a small family-owned vineyard before coming here to Cornell, where I'm able to work with growers all over the world in this research context. I can't imagine a better industry to be part of, and I hope to be part of it for the rest of my life. I want to thank AWS Educational Foundation and the Cleveland chapter for your very generous support. Thank you very much.
Hi, we hope that you enjoyed the videos that you just saw. It is with great pleasure that we were able to get those videos, and it's through your support that we were able to fund these scholarships. Your donations and your contributions are very important to both the Educational Foundation and these students. Thank you for your past support, future support, and thank you very much.